Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Jorde.
Thank you. Will you please state your name?
Ronda Aikman.
And Ms. Aikman, are you a property owner or at least related to the estate of Hans Hoffmeyer and Linda Hoffmeyer?
Okay, so this is just not to for Hans Hoffmeyer. My husband Kevin and I own 50-50 with Hoffmeyers because this land was Kevin's dad's before he passed, and through the estate, his sister made us buy our half, and Hans was really nice to buy the other half until we're able to buy that from him. So this is a 50-50 property.
Okay, very good. And there are two parcels affected that you've pre-filed testimony about, is that correct?
Yes.
And those are both in Crawford County, Iowa, right?
Yes.
And if we were to walk through your pre-filed testimony, those questions and answers here today, would you provide substantially similar answers as you did in the written form?
Yes.
And do you have any material updates or corrections you think are important for the IUB to know of?
No, not at this time.
Then we would offer Exhibit 81.
No objection. Seeing no objection, the board will admit, give the way due.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were just lining up for Mr. Taylor's spot.
No, I have a question for clarification. There were two sets of direct testimony that were filed, one with just Rhonda and Kevin, and one with the Hoffmeyers. And so I just wanted clarification as to which one they're offering.
So it would be the first amendment that has Kevin Aikman, Ronda Aikman, and Linda Hoffmeyer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that clarification, are there still no objections? Okay. Seeing none, the board will admit and give the way due.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Aikman, some other folks might have questions for you, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm Wally Taylor. I represent the Sierra Club. And first of all, I didn't catch who owns the other 50% of the property.
It was Hans Hoffmeyer and Linda, but it's now in Hans's estate with Linda, and then Kevin and I own half.
Okay. Who has been dealing with Summit's land agents or representatives throughout this process?
I think Hans was doing the most of it. Now that he has passed, they tried to contact Linda, but with Hans's passing, she just did not want to deal with them at the moment. And I've had no contact, Kevin and I, with them. And because any mailings that we were getting were going out to the address where the farm ground is and no mailbox. So the postman brought a few of them to us, but like the post office, there's no mailbox. They have to return it if it's first class. So there's a lot of information we did not receive and really not know what's going on with this whole process.
Okay. So did they contact Ms. Hoffmeyer then, or do you know?
They tried to talk to Mrs. Hoffmeyer. They tried to contact her, and with Hans's passing, she didn't want to deal with him because she absolutely wants nothing to do with this.
Okay. And do you see the map that's on the screen there with the rectangle?
Yes.
Does that red rectangle correctly show your property?
Yes.
And the white vertical line on the right-hand side of that red property is apparently the proposed Summit pipeline route. Is that your understanding?
Yes, I just found that out where to be laid just probably since April. That is when I found out, maybe May is when I found out where it was going to be laid.
When did you first learn that Summit was proposing this pipeline over your property?
I guess I really didn't know the whole information. I guess I didn't know for sure what was happening. I tried to keep up on newspaper articles, and then hence he would speak with Kevin and I some. But otherwise than that, I did not know a whole lot until towards the end here.
Okay. So you didn't have an opportunity to talk to any Summit representative about perhaps an alternative route or any other factors you might negotiate with them?
No, we have not. When people were talking about land agents, I had no clue what they were talking about on that because we've had nobody call us and nobody come to our door.
Okay. And, but I assume, or maybe not, I shouldn't assume, that you got what's called the Exhibit H notice maybe a couple months ago?
No, I only received that when I was trying to get all this stuff lined up for the hearing, and I had to go in and print it off.
Okay. Hold on, Mr. Taylor. Are you getting it? Are you okay? You okay? Okay, very good. Just checking with the court reporter. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. It looks to me like from the map that's up on the screen, there are no occupied structures fairly close to the pipeline, or are there? Maybe we should...
No, there's not. No, there's not.
Okay. Have you and Ms. Hoffmeyer discussed your positions on the pipeline project?
Discuss it with who? My husband and Linda, or?
Well, since you and your husband own half and Ms. Hoffmeyer owns the other half, is that correct?
Correct.
Have you and your husband and Ms. Hoffmeyer discussed what your attitude is toward the pipeline project and what your position is on how you're going to respond to the project?
We do not want it at all. Linda is very determined that she does not want it running through our land. And after Kevin and we found out more about this, Linda explained to me that she just does not agree with it. Her son has pulled up the Mississippi plume, and they did not like what they were seeing, and she was just disgusted with Summit, how they were so pushy, especially with Hans being sick, and then the funeral, it's like they would not leave her alone. She has no respect for Summit at all.
Okay. So Summit land agents have contacted Ms. Hoffmeyer?
Someone was contacting her, calling Hans's telephone, and then she just told him she wasn't dealing with him. Her husband has just passed. And so she's really never spoken to give him any information, because once Hans passed, that was the last that I know anybody had actually done any talking to him.
I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Colas.
Good afternoon, Ms. Aikman. I'm Jean Colas with Colas Family Farms, and I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Have you had much contact with Summit pertaining to this proposed route?
My husband and I have not had any, except towards the end, I think after Hans passed away, then they finally got our address figured out, and then they sent the easement to us. And then we sent that to our lawyer, and then after that is when we talked to Linda that we agreed we did not want to do this.
Which parcel do you own? Or both?
It's not who owns, it's just a 50-50. So we do not go out and say, you own this one, we own this one. It's just all together. It's not, this farm has, when Kevin's dad was alive, has always been on a handshake with Hans Hoffmeyer. And when Jean passed away, Kevin's dad, we did a handshake with Hans. I will help you buy it. You get your half. If down the road you come up with the money, you can buy the other half. But otherwise, we're just going to keep this 50-50. We never say you own, I own. It's just all together.
Has this pipeline impacted your family relationships?
It's been very stressful on me because I've had to learn a lot in a very short time. My husband, he just lets me tell him what's going on, and like I said, Linda, it has no respect for Summit and does not even want them close to our property.
Has this impacted yours or your sister's health or financial situation?
Right now, I cannot, nothing on financial because I've been pulling everything up, but it does stress me. I have panic attacks, so I've had to stay on my medication because this gets me overly excited, and then I have to take that so I do not go into a full attack.
What type of contact? Apparently you have some, your sister had some. What kind of contact have you had with Summit concerning this pipeline?
Okay, I don't have a sister, it'd be Linda Hoffmark. She's the other owner. And as far as I know, she has had no contact. They called her, and she would not talk to him because she's dealing with her husband being sick. Then he has passed. Hans is the last one I know on that has done any talking to anybody with Summit, and I do not know who they are.
How long has this farm been in your family?
Kevin's dad had purchased it like in 1964, and it was a full section, but when Kevin's dad passed away, through his state, his sister decided to turn the farmhouse into an acreage and would not let us purchase it to keep it in the family. So this is why Hans helped us, so we can keep the ground in the family, because that is the last thing he has of his dad's.
So your family or children or children's children are inheriting this land, and you're very concerned for their future?
Yes, we have 6 grandkids that this will be going to.
Okay. Are you concerned of it going through your land that close? Does anybody live on that land?
Yes, there's some. No, they do not. No, they have purchased it and they're doing stuff, but they have not lived in that house yet.
You say yet. Do they have plans to build on that land?
As far as I know, where you can see on the northwest corner, you can see the house there on the KZ map right there. That is where the house is located at, and there is a basement house there. And I'm not sure what the Hispanics are planning to do with it. But as of right now, no one is living there.
I'm trying to see the contour map. Do you have concerns? Are there, not plateaus, but are there, with the topography of where this pipeline would go?
I'm not quite sure what you mean.
let me rephrase that. I guess that's all I can think of right at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Grunhagen, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Ms. Aikman, my name is Chris Grunhagen. I'm with the Iowa Farm Bureau. I have a couple of clarification questions for you. If the staff could bring up the Exhibit H for CR 19. Thank you. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. This is a copy of the Exhibit H that you should have received in the mail maybe in July. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes, when I printed everything off, just came in with what I printed.
Okay.
So I just received it probably back in August when I did my printing of a bunch of information.
Could you scroll down just to the bottom part of the page here? I want to look at the easement holders here. So are you familiar with the easement that is held by Silver Queen Wind Farm?
Yes.
Okay. So is this a planned future wind development? Or
right now, it's the wires that they're interested in. That is what we have signed with them, because we have wires that go across the land.
So it's just for the transmission lines?
Yes.
And there's no plans for putting in wind turbines there?
No.
Okay, thank you. And then could you go ahead and go to the second page of that document here? We're under farm tenants. Okay. So the first farm tenant is listed as a Pan American Petroleum Corporation. Do you have some kind of an oil and gas lease on the property?
I'm going to have to check into that. I didn't even think to check into it before this hearing. I'm not sure who that is, so I'm going to have to get the information and contact them. Gene was very private in his life, and so this is just something that I found out about. My husband did not know anything about it either.
Okay. And is the second name under tenant, is that your current farm tenant?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have a relationship to the Hoffmeyers?
Clinton is married to Hance's daughter, Ashley. On that first page, you'll see that Ashley Smith is a heir or whatever they are to the estate. She's on that first page.
Okay, so in your direct testimony, when you say the renter has farmed the ground for 30 years now, do you mean him or do you mean the Hoffmeyer family?
The Hoffmeyer family.
Okay.
It's been 30 plus years.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
Mm-hmm.
Josh. Okay, seeing no, oh, sorry. Mr. Dublinsky.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on one thing, Ms. Aikman. When you were talking to Mr. Taylor, and you suggested this too when you were talking to Ms. Grunhagen, I believe you said that you did not receive that Exhibit H in the mail, that you printed it off the internet. Is that correct?
Correct.
If the tracking information from the Postal Service showed that the Exhibit H was refused by you and or Kevin, is that possible?
Possibly my husband might have, but I have not.
Okay. With that, redirect for Mr. Jorde.
So in terms of any rerouting, ma'am, you haven't had discussions with Summit about potential rerouting or moving the route, is that true?
True.
All right, and then since the time of your pre-filed testimony to today, have you and or your husband come up with any potential reroutes that you might suggest to the IUB?
No, we have not.
All right, and is that because I believe you said Linda is adamant that it's nowhere located on your property?
Yes, she's adamant. She does not want it.
Okay.
And this has to be, we all have to sign paperwork. It just can't be Kevin and I. She has to sign also, so we all need agreement for the signatures.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Aikman. You're excused.
Thank you.